Human biological complexity produces anomalies and extreme conditions that challenge science. This exploration focuses on 10 remarkable cases, illustrating human resilience and the fascinating limits of anatomy in the face of conventional expectations. Number 10. Zion Harvey, the neurosurgical audacity of the double hand transplant. The story of Zion Harvey marked a turning point in 2015 with the first successful double hand transplantation on a child, following septicemia. Beyond the technical feat of vascular and nerve anastomosis by 40 specialists in Philadelphia, the real challenge was cortical reorganization. The brain, accustomed to the absence of limbs, had to relearn to generate motor commands for the grafts and interpret complex sensory signals. Years of intensive rehabilitation were necessary for Zion to regain fine motor skills, spectacularly proving cerebral plasticity even after a major bodily alteration. His recovery symbolizes the possibility of a second functional wind and pushes the boundaries of what reconstructive surgery and neurological rehabilitation can achieve to restore bodily integration. Number 9. Runa Begum, severe hydrocephalus and the mirror of health inequalities. The story of Runa Begum is a poignant illustration of the devastating consequences of a pediatric neurological condition, hydrocephalus, when it is not diagnosed or treated in time, resulting in extreme macrocephaly where the cranial circumference reached 94 centimeters. This excessive accumulation of cerebrospinal fluid compresses and deforms the brain, threatening vital and cognitive functions, and in Runa's case, it was directly attributable to a lack of access to primary health care in her rural region of India. The international media coverage of her distress was the catalyst for a life-saving medical intervention, allowing an international team to perform crucial shunt surgeries aimed at regulating the flow of CSF. These interventions allowed for a spectacular reduction in circumference to 58 centimeters, stabilizing her neurological state and potentially improving her developmental prognosis. However, Runa's story is intrinsically double. It celebrates the effectiveness of global compassion and cutting-edge neurosurgery when mobilized, but it simultaneously serves as a brutal and inescapable reminder of the glaring systemic disparities that exist in access to critical care, particularly for pediatric neurological conditions, which, in other economic contexts, are treated long before reaching such levels of deformation and danger. Number 8. Rezia Buem, elephantiasis and the alienation of mobility. Rezia Buem's case focuses on the total functional impact of a massive hypertrophy of the right lower limb, whose estimated weight of 60 kilograms transforms existence into a constant physical ordeal, confining her to total dependence for all movements. This condition is typically identified as severe chronic lymphedema, often referred to as elephantiasis, resulting from prolonged obstruction of the lymphatic drainage system, often caused by filarial parasites in tropical regions. This chronic obstruction prevents the evacuation of tissue fluids, causing a massive accumulation that leads to progressive fibrosis and disproportionate swelling of the limb. The effect on daily life is cataclysmic. Beyond the physical impossibility of walking or supporting herself, the weight exerts unsustainable biomechanical pressure on the spine and other limbs, and the risk of secondary skin infections, septic cellulitis, is omnipresent, requiring constant and complex medical management for disinfection and drainage. Rezia's story highlights the logistical burden and the degradation of autonomy imposed by a bodily deformation of this magnitude, posing unprecedented challenges not only for the patient, but also for healthcare systems that must consider heavy orthopedic or surgical interventions to try and alleviate this extreme physical burden. Number 7. Aliya Nasarova, keratin, discipline, and unconventional beauty. Aliya Nasarova holds a physical distinction that is less a pathology and more a feat of biological maintenance and personal discipline. The possession of the longest hair ever recorded on a living woman, exceeding 2.5 meters, a length that defies the constraints of gravity and natural wear. Biologically, maintaining such a protein structure, keratin, at such a length requires meticulous management of hydration, nutrition, and protection against mechanical damage, as the slightest breakage on a strand of this length represents a significant loss of precious centimeters. What makes her case particularly salient in the context of physical anomalies is the voluntary and culturally significant aspect of her choice. She has elevated this exceptional physical trait to the status of a public identity and a platform for personal expression. Her journey illustrates how an individual can redefine the criteria of beauty and femininity by rejecting norms of ease of maintenance in favor of a long-term commitment to a personal aesthetic vision. The notoriety accompanying her record allows her to inspire the acceptance of uniqueness and demonstrates that non-standard bodily attributes can become powerful vectors of self-affirmation and positive role modeling in contemporary society. Number 6. Sierra and Sienna Bernal. The mystery of twin epigenetic discordance. The case of the twins. Sierra and Sienna Bernal provides an exceptional window into the complex dynamic between genetic potential and phenotypic expression, given that they are genetically identical yet present with primordial dwarfism with a spectacular size disparity exceeding 30 centimeters. This phenomenon, known as discordant twinning, is crucial for developmental biology, as it suggests that epigenetic factors, modifications to gene expression without changing the DNA sequence, or early, random developmental events within the same uterine environment created radically different growth trajectories. The impact of this discordance is deeply embedded in their daily lives. Sienna faces constant physical challenges navigating a world designed for larger bodies, requiring accessibility accommodations, while Sierra must manage the dynamics of a relationship with a sister whose stature is so different despite their common genetic heritage. Their story highlights that DNA is only part of the equation. It emphasizes the importance of empowerment and proactive adaptation in the face of a physical environment that does not naturally recognize extreme variations in human size, thus transforming their situation into a living lesson on developmental variability. Number 5. John Chris Carl. Curante, massive hyperdontia and the restoration of oral function. The medical phenomenon observed in John Chris Carl, Curante, is an extreme manifestation of hyperdontia, a dental disorder characterized by the presence of an abnormally high number of teeth, reaching a staggering figure of over 300 units in his case. Such a dental overload goes far beyond a simple aesthetic disorder. It triggers a cascade of serious biomechanical and pathological complications: compression of the maxillary bone structures, progressive displacement of normal teeth, creating severe malocclusions, and promoting the accumulation of plaque, chronic infections, abscesses, and unbearable pain, making essential functions like chewing and speaking almost impossible. Curante's treatment required a surgical approach of rare magnitude, involving multiple sessions of sequential and meticulous extractions, some of which removed over 40 teeth in a single operation to prevent structural instability of the jaw. This case highlights the importance of restoring not only aesthetics, but above all, the individual's functional quality of life, as the mouth is the gateway to nutrition and social communication. John Chris's determination to pursue his educational and professional goals, despite this unique oral burden, highlights the possible dissociation between an invasive physical challenge and the intellectual and emotional capacity to realize human potential. Number 4. Supatra Saxophone, hypertrichosis and the redefinition of body image. Supatra Saxophone is one of the few documented individuals living with Ambras syndrome, a rare form of universal hypertrichosis characterized by excessive and generalized hair growth over the entire body, a genetic trait that violently distinguishes her from dominant aesthetic standards. The psychological impact of living with such a visibly different appearance during childhood and adolescence is often one of exclusion, social judgment, and targeted harassment, often forcing individuals into isolation or repetitive attempts at physical concealment. Supatra's journey is distinguished by her exemplary transition from a potentially stigmatized person to a figure of public self-acceptance and global inspiration. By choosing to stop concealing her body and fully embracing her unique appearance, she enacted a psychological and social transmutation. The difference became a strength and an anchor point for her identity. Her influence transcends the simple personal anecdote. She fuels a necessary societal dialogue about the subjective nature of beauty, the superficiality of rigid aesthetic standards, and the fundamental right of everyone to bodily integrity, thereby encouraging a more inclusive culture that values intrinsic uniqueness beyond conventional appearances. Number 3. Ronnie and Donnie Gallion. Record symbiosis and relational resilience. Ronnie and Donnie Gallion embody a historical feat in terms of survival and longevity for conjoined twins, united at the thoraco-abdominal level, sharing vital organs incompatible with viable surgical separation. Their existence to an advanced age is a masterful demonstration of extreme physiological and psychological adaptation, as every action, every need, every sensation had to be managed within a forced and permanent physical cohabitation. This anatomical fusion required unparalleled levels of motor coordination and logistical compromise. They had to synchronize their movements, manage non-existent personal space, and navigate shared sensations and sensory experiences, all while preserving their emotional individuality. The success of their life together, despite the total absence of separate autonomy, highlights the robustness and depth of human fraternity and the remarkable capacity of individuals to establish a functional normality even in the most restrictive anatomical circumstances. Their case is an essential reference for the study of the sociology of fused bodies, illustrating how mutual trust and emotional harmony can triumph over the challenges posed by an ineluctable bodily fusion. Number 2. Sona and Mona Singh. Professional excellence in dicephalic parapagus. Sona and Mona Singh represent a particularly rare and lethal configuration of conjoined twins, known as dicephalic parapagus with pelvic fusion and absence of functional lower limbs, requiring a partial duplication of organ systems while sharing vital structures such as the liver. This anatomical complexity made any attempt at surgical separation highly perilous, leading to an acceptance of their fused condition. Their story takes an extraordinary turn after they were adopted. They developed such synchronized inter-body coordination that they could not only lead an autonomous life, but also excel in a field demanding precision and dexterity. The fact that they both obtained certification as electricians demonstrates astonishing motor mastery. They must orchestrate their two pairs of upper limbs with two distinct central nervous systems to handle wires, tools, and work in restricted spaces. Their professional success is not just a personal feat, but scientific proof that individuals with unconventional body architecture can achieve high levels of technical performance through near telepathic, nonverbal communication and absolute trust in the complementarity of their actions. Number 1. Sarwan Singh, the Kesh as a declaration of bodily faith. Sarwan Singh, by meticulously maintaining his beard at a record length of 2.54 meters, offers a spectacular physical manifestation of deep adherence to the Sikh doctrine of Kesh, the prohibition against cutting hair and beard, considered a sacred gift and a sign of spiritual commitment. What begins as an act of piety transforms into a continuous logistical and physical feat, requiring rigorous daily management to prevent breakage, tangling, and the hygiene issues associated with such a mass of hair. The validation of his record by Guinness World Records under strict conditions, notably measurement in a wet state to ensure maximum straightness, underscores the exceptional nature of this maintenance. The importance of Sarwan's case lies in how a bodily attribute, dictated by faith, becomes a dominant cultural symbol and a public declaration of identity. His beard is not a mere growth anomaly, but a living artifact that connects the individual to a community and a secular spiritual tradition, proving that life choices and convictions can sculpt the body and bestow upon it a meaning that far surpasses simple anthropological or medical curiosity, anchoring his physicality in the sacred. Number 11. Moment of unforeseen cases. In a silent maternity ward, 2 children were born with rare singularities. The first opened 3 eyes to the world, observing with an unusual clarity. The second carried on their back a vestige of an unfinished twin, a discrete symbol of the mysterious paths that life can sometimes take. These cases, from surgical prowess to the respect of traditions, expose the incredible adaptability of the human being in the face of non-standard bodies. They prove that human existence can flourish, find its meaning and its excellence in the most unexpected anatomical conditions.